Today on The Joy of Editing, we're going to take a first look at DxO's PureRAW 4. Stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome to The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. Today I want to give you a first look at DxO's PureRAW 4. Let's check it out. You can use it from Lightroom or you can use it as a standalone app. Right now you're seeing the standalone app. All you have to do is click the plus here to add RAW files. When you click the plus, your file browser opens up and then you could just point it to where your RAW files are at. Now you could load a bunch of RAW files up and batch process them out. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel for now because I'm going to shut down the standalone app and I'll be running this from Lightroom. So I'm just going to come up here to PureRAW 4 in the menu and click the Quit DxO PureRAW 4. And now here we are in Lightroom, and I'll show you how to use this from Lightroom. There's a couple different ways you can use PureRAW 4 in Lightroom. The price of PureRAW 4 is $119 US, and I believe the upgrade price is $79. Stay tuned till the end of the video because I'll be comparing PureRAW 3 with PureRAW 4 just to see if there's any differences there, if it's worth the upgrade or not. I'll be working with this RAW file today. Let me go ahead and zoom in so you can see all the noise in here. I have no noise reduction on here or sharpening. This was shot at ISO 25600, so it is super noisy, and I thought we could really run PureRAW 4 through the paces here just to see how well it can do on something with this high of an ISO. Now you can send one image into PureRAW 4 or a bunch of them. It depends what you want. Right now, I'll just be doing this one file today to see how it works. But anyway, there's two different ways of launching PureRAW 4 from Lightroom Classic. One way is to come up here to File and come down to Plugin Extras, and you're going to find PureRAW 4 here. Now, you'll notice you can process instantly with DxO PureRAW 4, just like you could have done with PureRAW 3. But they've also added this. You can now send it into the app, preview and process with DxO PureRAW 4. That's what we're going to do today. So that is something new. So that's one way you can do it. Here's another way you can do it. You can right click on your image and come to export and then just find DxO PureRAW 4. And again, you have the two ways of processing: preview and process with DxO PureRAW 4 or process instantly with DxO PureRAW 4. In other words, if you click this, you'll just go ahead and process it. But let me show you something. When you click this dialog will come up letting you know what you're going to be doing. You're raw processing and denoising using their new Deep Prime XD2, and it tells you what the optical corrections are set at and what the advanced settings are set for, and then where it will be outputted to. In my case, I'm going to send it back to the original folder. This is pretty much the same as PureRAW 3. You can click Edit and change things here. Also, under Corrections, you can click Edit and see where it says Advanced. This is something new. You can click this drop down. You can adjust the luminance value for the noise reduction as well as force details. I'll get into that in a little bit here, but you can see I'm set up for Deep Prime XD2. For Fuji X-Trans files, it won't work with XD2, only XD, but who knows, that could change in the future. And then you have your choices of your different optical corrections. For now, I'm just going to click cancel and let's X out of here because we're going to send this into the actual DxO PureRAW 4 app. Now remember, you could come up to File and come down to Plugin Extras and launch it that way, or here's my favorite way. Right click on the image, come down to Export and find PureRAW 4. You have two choices. I'm going to use Preview and Process with DxO PureRAW 4. We'll click that and PureRAW 4 will launch. And here we are inside of PureRAW 4. Let me show you something. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. Now you could zoom in down here. We could go 1:1, 2:1, and if you click right here as a drop down, you have different zoom in ratios that you can go to. Let's click 1:1 so we could really zoom in, and I just want to move over to this tree right here so we can really see the bark on the tree. Now I'm going to take this slider, which is a before after. The original RAW file will be on the left, as you can see, and the Deep Prime XD2 is on the right. Now you may say, Dave, that looks horrible, and I would say I 100% agree with you. But what I want you to notice down here, see right now it says preview not updated. You need to click update to update that preview. But here's what I recommend. Anytime you change any changes here, you're always going to have to click this update, which can be a real pain. But let me show you what to do. Come up here to PureRAW, click on that, This is the menu. Click on Preferences. And what I want you to do is click on Processing Preview, Enable Automatic Preview Calculation. Check that on. That way you won't have to keep updating it every time. There's another thing you can do here. You could see all the different DxO processing methods if you check this on. I leave that unchecked because I'm only interested in Deep Prime XD2 or Deep Prime XD. Maybe Deep Prime, but generally just Deep Prime XD2. So let me go ahead and click Save. And now notice Preview Not Updated in red. In a second, it'll change to Preview Updated. And now when I slide this across, you can see the before and after. Now these are the default settings, by the way. I'm going to come down here and click on 2:1 zoom so we can really see this up close and personal. Let me just drag this over a little bit more. So we're looking at this tree right here. So let's see a before and after. See the before? Look at that on that tree, all that noise, all that crazy color noise and luminance noise. And if I drag this over, look how it's cleaned that up. That is pretty darn impressive, I must say. And remember, this image was shot at ISO 25,600. Now take note over here, I have two choices here, either Deep Prime or Deep Prime XD2/XD. It's always going to give you XD2 unless it doesn't support your camera. And as I said, if I hover over this, you can see X-Trans RAW files are currently not supported by Deep Prime XD2. Deep Prime XD will be applied instead, so remember that. That could change in the future, however. If you just want to use Deep Prime, just click on Deep Prime, but for me, I'll probably always use this one, Deep Prime XD2/XD. Notice right here, Advanced. This is a drop down. You can click right here to open this up, and what you'll notice is a luminance adjustment for luminance noise and also a details adjustment. You can force out more detail here. Now, these are the default settings for Deep Prime XD2. And if we look here, we may see a slight bit of noise in here, which I don't mind. But if I wanted to totally get rid of that, I could take this luminance slider and start to drag it to the right and stop. And you'll notice it says Preview Not Updated. Now it is. And the reason it's auto-updating is because I went up to Preferences and changed that so it wouldn't make me click Update each time I make a change with one of the sliders. And now we have the Force Detail slider. So if I start to drag this to the right, we will pull out some extra detail in this image. And you'll notice it updates itself. See, we can pull out some more detail. If you don't see these two adjustments, make sure you click on Advanced so they show up for you. And next, we're going to look at optical corrections. I would recommend that you start out with these default settings and change them only if you feel you need to. These colored circles are toggles, so you can toggle these off or on. They're all on right now. So we have vignetting set up, the correct vignetting on the image due to a lens issue. Chromatic aberrations will be taken care of, and lens distortions. And you have some different options in here, but I would just use image crop to original ratio. But then under lens softness, we can click this as a drop down. It's defaulted at standard. You could put it at soft, but I recommend standard. I get the best results at standard. You could click strong, which will give it more detail or more sharpness, and then you could click on hard if you really want to pull out as much sharpness as you want. But you know what? I don't really recommend that. I think it's too much. I would stick with standard and only change that if you feel it really helps out your images. And now under output format, you notice I have DNG toggled on. That's what I recommend if you want to work in RAW. If you want to remove the noise and sharpen it up in RAW and send it back in RAW, that's what you want to use, DNG. But you could also choose TIFF or JPEG. And then you have a destination area where you can send it back to the original folder, put it in a subfolder called DxO. I just recommend putting it back to the original folder, but you can set this up for however you want. You can toggle this on to put this into a subfolder called DxO inside of the original folder, and then you could choose a custom folder, click Browse, tell it where you want it to go. But again, I like just sending it back to the original folder, and then you could rename the file. But I believe this works the same as PureRAW 3. I'm not going to get into that right now. And also Lightroom Collection import. Remember, I sent this into PureRAW 4 from Lightroom, so it's going to go back in a collection, and you have your choice of default, which will go into this collection here under PureRAW 4, or you could click this button and click the drop down and decide what collection you wanted to go into, but I'm just using the default collection. I wish you didn't have to put it in a collection, but you do. I went ahead and reset my luminance back to 40 and my force details back to 0. And the reason I did that is because I'm going to show you a comparison between the default settings for PureRAW 3 against the default settings of PureRAW 4. Now, with PureRAW 3, you do not have these luminance and force detail adjustments. That's only in PureRAW 4. These are really great adjustments to have, in my opinion. Now I'm ready to send this back to Lightroom, so I'll click on Process Now, and you can see it's starting to process. Now, it's probably twice as fast as PureRAW 3 was, but I'll meet you back in Lightroom in a few seconds. And now we're back in Lightroom, and notice I have a collection called DxO PureRAW 4, and I have this subfolder inside there with this image I just sent back. But what I like to do is right-click on the image at this point and click Go to Folder and Library, and you'll notice now I am in that library folder right there, DxO PureRAW 4 test right there, and here is my image. I went ahead and zoomed into 300% so we can really do a little bit of pixel peeping. Now this is the PureRAW 4 result. Let me show you the original RAW file. Here is the original RAW file. You can see all that color noise along with the luminance noise. And now here is the PureRAW 3 result. All right, now I want you to notice here on the tree trunk and also out in the rest of the image here, it's a little bit artifacty. We're losing some of the detail in the tree compared to this PureRAW 4 result. See the detail on the tree, and it doesn't really have that artifacty look to it compared to this PureRAW 3. Do you see the difference there? Now I want to show you a side-by-side comparison. The image on the left is processed with PureRAW 4, the image on the right with PureRAW 3. But look at the tree bark on the image on the left. See the detail here compared to the image on the right? The image on the left definitely has more detail. So there is a difference between the two. Now, is it enough of a difference for you to want to upgrade from PureRAW 3 to PureRAW 4? Well, that is totally up to you. Well, there it is, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Click that bell notification icon. Click all so that you'll receive all notifications. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. And I will see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.